Hey there, everybody. This is Jandor. I wanted to bring you my thoughts on the New Bloom Festival in Dota 2, because that shit just dropped today, and it's exciting. Super exciting, actually. It includes a whole bunch of new stuff, and I kind of want to go over. Probably not as in depth as some people already have done, because there's plenty of people out there. Purge has done it. Draskell streamed it along with I think Luminous Inverse and Statsman Bruno, and a bunch of crap has been done. I mean, like people have been covering this because it's huge, big sweeping patch, lots of fun stuff. I just went live today, so I want to take a look at the patch notes. And then we'll go into the game itself and take a look at some of the items that have dropped and just take a look around there and show off all that cool stuff so you guys can get a sense and get pumped for the weekend, man, because it's going to be awesome. I'm going to be trying to get as much play in as I can between everything else I'm doing. So let's take a look. Day one of the New Bloom Festival here just announced some basic stuff. Kind of the well, I mean, as you can see, the coming of the year beast, cycles of terror, prepare for battle, blah blah blah. The fortune's favors. So a lot of this stuff is basically new ways to interact with items, new ways the game is going to kind of work, some kind of fun stuff that's going on. And it's going to lead to some interesting game modes and some other cool stuff similar to what we've seen in previous patches this past year. I think it's going to be kind of cool. Like I like the idea of the Year Beast, and I think one of the cool things about this is it's all themed around Chinese New Year, which I would assume is today or sometime soon. So Happy New Year to our Chinese friends. And that's kind of a cool thing too, because I think this is the first time that Valve, for the Dota 2 scene, has done something like this, and it's great because there's a big Dota 2 scene in China, and it's awesome for them to get some love, like we have with Frostivus and the Dire Tide stuff for Halloween. So moving on. Exciting stuff. Day two of the New Bloom Festival announcement brought us the news that we are getting a brand new hero called Terrorblade. Because he's got blades all over him and he's terrifying. I mean, look at that dude. That dude looks terrifying. Look at him. He is a Terrorblade. He is blades and terror. And he looks awesome. So apparently, this Terrorblade is a hero from Dota 1, who's been in the meta for a little while, has been gotten revamped up and down this, back and forward, and now is jumping into Dota 2 with the following skills. We have Reflection, which creates a double of your foe, which attacks the original and slows their movement. I believe this is... No, this is not the illusion. The next one, Conjure Image, is an illusion. Metamorphosis is, I think, similar to how Troll Warlord works. You change shape, but this is a duration based as opposed to it just being an attack stance shift. But your changed shape gives you range attack mode, and it gives you extra damage. So that's pretty cool. So you can like drop that into team fights or into ganks, or if you potentially for last hitting, although I bet you it's probably mana inefficient for that. Conjure Image. The image, I believe, mimics whatever form you're metamorphed into. So you could conjure one in your melee form and then turn into the ranged form and have you send your melee one in to attack and then be blasting with ranged. Or you could turn into your ranged form and then conjure an image. And since it's an illusion, it's doing a percentage base of your damage. So, the more damage you're doing, the more damage your illusion's doing. I think not including items or certain items factor into there. His ultimate is Sunder, which severs the soul of an ally or enemy and exchanges your health. So this is kind of cool. What it does, if I understand correctly, is whatever health you're at is exchanged with whatever health they're at. And I'm not sure if it's percentage based or if it's raw numbers. I would assume it's percentage based. And there's a threshold they can't go below. So like if you're really close to death, they can't go below a certain number. But it's still a pretty cool way to like you're in the middle of a team fight and things are going bad and the enemy tank or whatever, the enemy carries like all like ha I'm super powerful. You're like nope, and you swap hit points and then totally stomp the fight. I believe when Draskell was going over these notes, they were making jokes, maybe jokes, about this being sort of a support thing where you basically follow in and you're dealing damage and trying to do some little bit of control reflection or maybe items. And then when your carry starts dropping, you swap with them so that you're at full health in the back and then your carry gets brought back up to full. And you just take that hit and either run or take the death, but it doesn't matter because your carry mops up. Kind of a cool idea. But I think this guy could be kind of fun to play. We'll see what happens. We'll see how soon he gets into captain's mode and kind of enters the meta there. And here's a totally badass picture of him. He's starting off with an Arcana item, which I will actually show off because it should be in the store. The other new thing, we have random ability draft. I believe this was really popular in Dota 1, and people have been asking for it for a little while. And what random ability draft does is it's exactly what it says. Everybody is randomly assigned a hero, and then all those heroes' abilities are placed in a pool, and then you draft abilities. So you take turns picking different abilities from that pool. So as you can see, you've got Luna sitting here with a Pudge Hook and an Enchantress Heal, and you've got a Crystal Maiden with a Finger of Death and the Pudge Decay thing going, or whatever his like rot thing is. So I think that could lead to some like totally crazy shenanigans. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it's definitely not the kind of mode you want to go into and try hard at. I think it's just the kind of mode you want to go into and you want to screw around and have some fun. It was originally going to be unlocked at level 11, so whenever you're at Dota level 11, but apparently according to the blog post as of today, due to popular demand, it will now be unlocked at level 5 instead. So for those of you out there that haven't played as many games as you need to get up to level 11, you might still be able to really quickly jump into random ability draft and have fun with that madness. And then we have our gameplay update to 6.80. This is the big one, right? This is all the crazy cool patch stuff that's coming out, all the different retweaks and balances. And I'm going to go through it fairly briefly because, like I said, it's been covered really in depth other places, but I kind of want to give you guys my opinion, my sense of things, and where I think certain things are good, bad, or indifferent. Starting off at the top, you lose a gold per second if you haven't picked after a hero after the selection timer runs out, and I'll pick. Yes. The only thing that bothers me about this is that I worry it's not enough gold to be a proper deterrent. I imagine they wanted to be very conservative with it so that they're not adversely punishing people who just have choice paralysis, because all pick mode, I mean, there's over 100 heroes. That's a lot to choose from, especially if you're new to the game or if you just aren't sure what you feel like playing the day. You know, and you can always hit random, but I know, like, I always get into a point where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to hit random because we have a really weird draft and I should probably pick a support, but I don't know what support to pick. You can get into that position, and I imagine they went with a really low gold penalty because they didn't want to really slam people that are doing that. But what this is designed to do, I believe, is try to punish people who are waiting to pick until the enemy team has picked all their heroes so they can hard counterpick as much as possible. To the extent where I've heard, people have even been waiting until like right before the creep spawn or even after the creep spawn to pick so that you can guarantee that your enemies haven't bought items to counter you or anything like that. You just hard counter and go. And that's just kind of an obnoxious way to play the game. Like if you really want to play that game and play with the meta in that way, I recommend jumping into Captain's Mode or Captain's Draft, because that gives you a much better format for drafting even teams as opposed to just kind of, trying to pick to win. Which, we all like winning, but it's just kind of like, really, obnoxious. So this ought to penalize that a little bit. They've also changed up the pre-creep time and the all-pick selection time, so they're each 75 seconds now. So we'll see. Like I said, I worry this doesn't go far enough to really deter that last pick, because all it's going to lose you is like an Ironwood branch and maybe a Clarity Potion or like half a Clarity Potion. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It definitely means that I think Valve is listening to that or seeing that problem and is trying to address it. You also see that Roshan will be getting tougher in the late game. And I think that's going to be interesting to see, especially on the pro scene, where, after a certain point, it becomes so easy to take Roshan out. That's like one turn of a team fight, or especially for Dire, the enemy's back at their base defending, or wherever they're off the map or something and they can't come to defend. You just run into the Roche Pit or send a couple people into the Roche Pit, bam, get Aegis, and then you can push and be safer and all the benefits, get the gold bounty, all that stuff that comes with Roshan. I think that this could be interesting. It could change up a little bit. It makes it more of a strategic decision, I think, about when you Roche. It doesn't mean that you're not going to Roche, because it's still a huge benefit, but it might it makes it a little bit of a heavier decision, especially if you're dire, because it's a lot easier to Roche on the dire side because you don't have to cross over the river. So you have a bit more of a home court advantage there. So this is interesting. I'll be curious to see how this sort of shakes out. Then we get into our heroes. Like I said, I'm going to kind of blur through these. Alchemist got a nerf. He was real strong. I mean, he's a support. You can play him as a support that transitions into a core or carry towards late game with Greevil's Greed and some good item selection. Unstable Concoction is real powerful, like really powerful. It deals a ton of damage and it's a super long stun, and it's real hard to fight up against if the Alchemist knows what they're doing. This makes Alchemist even more skill intensive than he was before, about really watching your time and trying to. I think there's going to be really cool like pro skill shots coming out where people wait like right that 5 second mark and have a half a second to throw it so they get the max duration stun and damage, but they don't blow up on themselves. It'll be pretty cool to see. But yeah, a little bit of a nerf to Alchemist, who was pretty powerful. That's not bad. Ancient Apparition got a buff, trying to make him a little stickier, trying to give him a little more utility. We'll see whether or not that really changes things. I've played AA twice. The first game, we shredded face. I was in a lane with a bounty hunter, and I don't think the enemy team had any idea how to deal with it. The second time I played with him, I don't think I accomplished diddly squat. So I have very mixed experiences with AA, and I'll be curious to see sort of how this changes things up if I start seeing him more often. And I might pick him just to sort of see how the changes have affected the hero. Anti-Mage got a buff to his ulti. Okay, fine. The targeting cursor for Mana Void is kind of cool. I like targeting cursors because it gives me a sense, especially before I'm used to the hero, of like where my abilities are going to go. Like, Sven's Hammer of God or things like that. It's kind of cool because then it gives you an idea of like, all right, who am I going to hit with this if I drop it right now, as opposed to having to guesstimate it. Axe got base HP regen and a little bit of an interesting rescaling tweak to Berserker's Call. Pretty good. Base HP regen upgrade is really nice. It helps him jungle a little better. It helps him lane a little better. That's kind of cool. Batrider gets an attack animation speed increase, which is cool because you haven't seen much of Batrider, especially in the pro scene. He was crazy OP as of like TI3, and then like they nerfed him, and then he disappeared. And now, from what I hear, the nice thing about this attack animation increase is that, or decrease in time, is that it'll make it easier to last hit, which ought to make him more viable in a lane. Beastmaster, these changes, I haven't played a lot of Beastmaster, but the look of these changes is they want a little more utility. They want you to be summoning more animals with your Call of the Wild ability, either for more map control or for more whatever the board does. And so you can have multiple summons out at once, probably no more than 2 based on the cooldowns. But that might be kind of cool. You could have 2 Hawks, give you more map control, give you more vision, and that kind of adds some interesting utility to Beastmaster. Bloodseeker got a little bit of a buff again, more bonus speed from Thirst, it got rescaled. Bloodbath giving the full hero kill benefit if you're within 325 AoE when the hero dies is pretty huge because it means in team fights, you don't have to be the one getting the last hit on enemy heroes in order to maintain your survivability. This, in low-level pubs, which is where I play, if I'm honest, I worry this might make him like really scary, especially if your team doesn't know how to deal with him, or doesn't have good like lockdown or disable. Because let's say you focus on the Bloodseeker, but the enemy team focuses on one of you, and you get killed, and all of a sudden Bloodseeker is like back up at most or full health. And that just keeps happening. It could snowball where you either have to ignore the Bloodseeker and kill the supports that are dealing you damage, or just disabling them, take them out like ASAP. And we'll see how that goes, but it's kind of cool. Brewmaster's Primal Spirit got a big cooldown reduction. Brewmaster's pretty scary, and this makes him even scarier. There you go. Bristleback's base damage was reduced, which means it's going to be harder for him to last hit and get farm, but that's okay. He's still going to be tanky and a giant pain in the dick. Broodmother can no longer leave map boundaries, along with guys like Batrider and I think Spectre. Okay, cool. No longer people breaking that rule about map boundaries. Spin Web no longer provides 200 vision. That reduces the utility of it somewhat, but okay. And the free pathing removed when enemies have vision over you. I've played a couple games as Broodmother, and the only thing that saved my ass was the fact that I could run into trees when they inevitably dropped the ward and or dust or both to spot me when I tried to come out the last hit or something. I I think what this is going to do is make her much harder to solo with, offlane or otherwise. I think it's going to be a lot harder for her to solo push and split push towers because you can send a couple heroes down, drop a ward or drop dust, and then she's not going to be able to run into the trees to get away. She's going to have to like circle around or something like that. So you'll have a much easier chance to kill her. That's probably going to be a good thing overall because it's kind of a cheap trick, but I think it's going to mean you're going to have to be really... It's going to change how people play her. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Centaur Warrunner had a massive reduction in their cooldown in his ulti cooldown at levels 1 and 2. Still the same at level 3. Very cool. It gives him more early game, utility out of that ultimate. Clockwork. The nice thing about this, from what I've heard, it might encourage people to try to hit themselves out of cogs more. Again, the level I play at, I think everybody's going to panic when they get, hook shot and dropped in cogs, and I don't think it's going to matter too much, but we'll see if it means people start leveling cogs earlier to get up to that level 3 again. Crystal Maiden's base intelligence got reduced by 3. Poor me. It means I can't spam spells the same way I was with her. I'm going to have to be even more cautious with my mana, which I am terrible at, but... might make her less of an auto pick in the pro scene. Cool beans. Darkseer got a buff. Dazzle's weave duration increased because Dazzle's awesome. Death Prophet Exorcism cooldown increased, which is not a bad thing because she can be real pain to deal with if she gets some items and some support because she can push down towers real fast, and this ought to slow that roll. Her silence AoE, though, increased by a pretty fair margin, another 75 AoE, and I think that's going to make her have even more utility in team fights because you can drop that big silence and knock out half the enemy team or more, maybe the entire enemy team, depending on how they're grouped. And that gives you a lot of chances to knock them down. Dragon Knight's Dragon Tail got rescaled, so you have more of a reason to actually put levels into it now. Drow Ranger got the reworked silence. This I'm super excited about. So instead of it being an old, area radius silence, blah, 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 you drop it, you silence people, this is now line. So it's sort of like a Dragon Slave or Corpse Spirits, whatever the hell the thing is that Death Prophet does. You push people away from you and silence them in a line. And how far you push them back is inversely proportional to how far away they are from you. So the closer they are, the further they get pushed back. And what's awesome about this is it means that if you're getting surrounded or someone's coming up or you're getting ganked, you can drop this, push them back, silence them so they can't get abilities off, and it also means your ult is more likely to proc because if people are too close to you, you don't get all your bonus agility, and there goes a ton of your damage. So this ought to make her a little more viable, especially at higher levels of play. And it should be a lot of fun, too. I mean, it's just a more active, fun ability than the original silence was, where you just were like, I'm dropping a silence. Earth Spirit. Good Lord, Earth Spirit got reworked a ton. I'm not going through all of this. I don't see Earth Spirit much, but I know higher level play he can be a real giant pain. And I think what they're trying to do is they're always sort of trying to upgrade or keep the level of finesse and skill required to make him effective while keeping him from being just a total curb stomper when you have in the hands of the right player. So we'll see how this goes. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in that patch, you guys, or for him, you guys can take a look at it yourselves. I don't know Earth Spirit very well, so I can't get into it, but I think it's interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see even more of him getting reworked. He seems to be one of those heroes that really requires some care in terms of how he's handled because of how his abilities are really, really good in the hands of skilled players. So the question is, how do you set it up where he's still viable and requires skill to play, but he doesn't just really dominate when someone really knows him well, right? Earthshaker got a movement speed increase and strength gain. So cool, he's more buffed than he was before, and he was already pretty scary. Enchantress base armor reduced by 1, harder to jungle, I guess, in the early game, because you're going to be taking more damage and just makes you a little squishier overall, but whatever. Enigma's Black Hole AoE increased. And the cast range increased, making him even scarier. Faceless Void Chronosphere cooldown. Okay, so the Faceless Void stuff. Basically what this does is it makes him even scarier in a team fight in the hands of someone that is able to get the farm and get his items up. Because as soon as he drops that Chronosphere, he gets double max move speed, he phases through people, and he can just run in, bash attack, and just slaughter. or escape. It could be really good defensively too. And the cooldown was dropped, so not only is this Chronosphere better, it comes around more often. At least at level 3. Level 2 and level 3. Level 1 is still 120 seconds, but they rescaled it so that by level 3 you're down to 80 seconds instead of 100. And getting it more than once every 1.5 minutes is pretty awesome. So yeah, cool. I might try to play Faceless Void. I mean, he sounds dope. Huskar got some buffs. Cool beans. Invoker. Forge Spirits got a nerf, which is awesome because Forge Spirits are crazy good, and that's all you ever saw anybody do with it at the pro level. And then some of his other abilities got massive buffs, like EMP and, maybe not massive, but EMP, Alacrity. Ghost Walk got a big buff, so I think that's going to be more, common on him. Pretty sweet. Jakiro got reworked, so Ice Path deals static damage, meaning it's slightly less attractive to level it. Although, honestly, I mean, the max damage on Ice Path was 100, so really it was never... Ice Path, to me, has never been about the damage. It's always about the utility of being able to lock down enemy heroes. And a good Jakiro, which I am not, can really save the team's bacon with Ice Path. So I imagine you still might level it, but the nice thing is Liquid Fire and Dual Breath have now been buffed, so they might become more attractive, so maybe you want to get them earlier to be dropping damage down on the enemy team during a team fight. Pretty cool. Juggernaut's Blade Fury cooldown was reduced and rescaled slightly, and reduced overall, which is nice because Blade Fury is awesome. Keeper of the Light, blah blah blah, Legion Commander. Okay, so basically they reworked Moment of Courage. It should be proccing more often, but only proccing once at a time, which was a bug, I believe. And it's giving you, I think overall this will work out to be a bit better, because it looks like the buff grace period is slightly longer than its cooldown. So about every second you should be getting... If it procs, you should be getting a decent chance of some good stuff from Moment of Courage. Pretty nice. Leshrac got some buffs with Lightning Storm. Lena got some buffs, which is awesome, with Dragon Slave and Fiery Soul duration, and movement speed, making her even more awesome, which is fine by me. Lion. Oh, wow. Now, that's going to be interesting. For anybody that actually bothers to get Negative Scepter on a Lion, if you ever have the farm, that could be pretty sexy. Especially in a tightly clumped team fight or something where you just deal a ton of damage to everybody standing around within a really close effect to the primary target. Pretty cool. I don't know if, again, it's still, Aghanim Scepter is really expensive, so it's like, are you playing a mid-lion and getting a bunch of farm as a core? He's super squishy. I don't know if that's a good idea, but maybe you're roaming and getting a ton of kills with Finger of Death, so there you go. Lone Druid, no longer an orb effect. I guess that means that if you put orb stuff on the Spirit Bear, he gets entangled plus the orb effect, which could be pretty nasty. Lycan got better with his Wolves got much better. Wow, so invisibility level 3 and passive ability gives him 15 HP regen at 4. That's awesome. That's awesome. He needed a little bit of a buff. Magnus got a little weaker, less mana at the start. Medusa's mana shield damage absorption went up a fraction. I don't know if this is going to make her any less of a farm fest, honestly, but it does make mana shield better. Meepo now gets... Wow. They rescaled how his ulti works, so he's going to be getting extra Meepos a level earlier. And it reduces his revive timer. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think that's kind of nice. Meepo is already a really high skill character because you really have to know... You really have to be good at micro, and I am not. I have a friend who is, though, and so I'm happy to see more of his Meepo in games so that we can win. Morphin, cast an attack while in waveform? Scary. Nature's Prophet, they increase the mana cost of Wrath of Nature, so that just means it's less attractive to spam it just whenever you get it off cooldown to find out where people are or try to get a kill, I guess. That's nice on Necrophus, because it means if they're trying to run, if they're slightly faster than you, you'll still be able to hit them, or if they're just outside your vision, you might still be able to get them with the Death Pulse. Night Stalker, interesting. A little bit of a nerf from, if I'm understanding that correctly. Nyx Assassin, interesting. Oh, okay. I've no idea what that is. It's probably just a clarification of something. Um, this Ogre Magi thing is weird. So, one, I don't remember Unrefined Fire Blast costing 400 mana. Um, maybe it was supposed to be 40%. I don't know. The point is now that it costs 60% of your current mana, it means you can always cast it, even if you have like 2 mana remaining. I mean, I assume you have to have more than 1 mana. But that means you're always able to at least cast a spell, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. Omni Knight gets some sticky aura bonus. Good, good. Astral Imprisonment cast range reduced. That's nice. OD is pretty nasty mid. Phantom Assassin. Invisible Heroes trigger Blur. That makes her more survivable by a lot. That's good. And the Blur delay reduced. Also nice. So yeah, just making her a little bit more survivable. She's pretty tough. Phoenix. Well, frankly, we'll talk about Phoenix later. Because, I mean, they're talking about changes to Phoenix. I think this is more about Dota 1 than Dota 2, because I think these apply mostly equally to both games. So, whatever. This is just going to be what it looks like when it hit the scene today. So, Queen of Pain. Oh, man, that's awesome. So, it's now even more awesome to get Aghanim Scepter on Queen of Pain, because as soon as you do, you have a 40-second cooldown on Sonic Wave. Which is ridiculous. Ricky got a base HP regen increase, so he can actually survive more than, I don't know, a sneeze. And then having to run back to base, I guess. That can make him a bit more of a pain in low-level pubs, though, where people don't know how to deal with him, because then he can just run away and heal up much faster. Sand King just always has a max radius sandstorm. That's kind of nice. Shadow Demon, blah, blah, blah. Shackles, blah, blah, blah. The Mass Serpent Wards can no longer trap Roshan is pretty cool because it means, like, you still have to fight Roshan. I can't just drop that and sit around and wait for him to die and get range damage on him, which is kind of cheap. You can still totally get it on heroes, though, because I think that's more of a skill thing. Roshan just stands in the same place the whole time, right? But trying to get heroes trapped in that is not easy, so... Silencers, global silence cooldown reduced. Alright, a little more utility there. Mystic Flare damage redone, so it's even more scary. Bash damage increase on our Slardar. Slark getting pounce damage reduced, which is nice. And Shadowdance cooldown reduced, so... Alright. A little bit of a nerf and a little bit of a buff at the same time, just kind of retweaking him. This is crazy. So snipers take aim bonus is increased up to 400 range. It go just across the board buff to that skill, which, I mean, good lord, that's 80 extra range than what it was at max level. And Jesus, he was already had like the longest range in the game, I'm pretty sure, when you had that maxed out. So now he's gonna be able to sit like all the way the hell back and just plink at everybody. Not a bad thing. He can't really escape very easily. So the farther away he is, the better off you are, and the more like a sniper he is. Very cool. Some Spirit Breaker stuff. Storm Spirit base movement reduced, blah, blah, blah. Sven base armor increased by 3. That makes more survivable early on, which is nice. And Warcry cooldown reduced. Very nice. That 4 seconds ought to make that better. That's cool, because Warcry is a good skill. Some stuff on Terrorblade. Tidehunters, Kraken Shell debuff stuff. Alright, whatever. Timbersaw base strength reduced. Makes him a little squishier, so he's a little harder to offlane with. The Tinker. So... doubles laser cast range and heat-seeking missile count. Kind of cool. The laser cast range could be nice for sniping or just dropping damage from far away, and the heat-seeking missile count's nice for team fights. Tinker is either... I don't know, Tinker's a weird hero. I've played him once, did not do very well. I've seen him really wreck house in games before. He can be a real pain to deal with. He can deal a surprising amount of damage very fast if he's got enough mana early on and he gets some levels. And this might make Aghanims attractive to him because it'll give him a lot. That's about all I have to say about that. Tree and Protector overgrowth increase, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean... that's interesting. I don't know Treant very well. I'm not sure how much that's going to affect him, but it's nice to see a little bit of a buff on him. He's kind of a pain. He's a decent hero if he's on your team, and he's a real pain in the ass if he's on the enemy team because he just sort of drags the game out, or he can drag the game out. because it's hard to push. You really have to take towers when you push if he's not, because he can be healing them the whole time and making it harder to push again. Troll Warlord got rescaled. So yeah, you can end up with more stacks. Or your max stacks, is at 4, but your attack speed per stack is higher, so overall it's a buff. Tusk, interesting. The 50% threshold mechanic from Walrus Punch and the crit increase means he's going to be even scarier as a roamer because he can, he can drop a snowball, drop an ice path, and then Walrus Punch you, and even if you're not at half health, he's still going to deal a ton of damage and potentially finish you with right clicks. Scary stuff. Undying Soul Rip cooldown reduce by a few seconds there towards the end, so he can spam that more often. Vengeful Spirits, we have a Terror armor reduction got increased, making her more powerful, and especially as a team support. Venomancer got a bit of a nerf, which is good. I hate seeing him. You see him all the time. Visage looks like he got a bit of a nerf as well. Although his familiars being properly magic immune is nice. I think that'll help them out. Annoying little bastards. Warlock got a little bit of bonus there. Wind Ranger got mana cost reduction, which is nice. Wow, a lot. Wow. So Focus Fire and no longer cast animation will be much more attractive than just leveling Shackle Shot and Power Shot. Witch Doctor got a boost. Oh, wow. Yeah, nice. So his Voodoo Restoration is now cheaper, which is good. And Cast can bounce to units in Fog of War. That'll make him real pain. But gives him even more utility, which is cool. I like playing him. Wraith King, a bit of a nerf. And Zeus, this is nice. The increase on Arc Lightning means that he's gonna be able to initiate a little earlier and start proccing his passive earlier, and then dropping that, running in, dropping Lightning Bolt, dropping it again as they try to run away, and potentially getting some kills with the ulti, make him even scarier. So we reduced the bounty on Animal Courier. Arcane Boot mana cost increased by 10, whatever. The AoE from Cleave went up, which is nice. Now, Blink Dagger has no mana cost, is awesome. Because a lot of the heroes you're going to get this on, not a lot, but many of the heroes you're going to get this on might be kind of mana starved. So having the ability to do this for free is sick. So that's pretty awesome. That's exciting to see. That will make it more attractive. And it also helps your survival because if you're in a team fight that goes wrong and you're tapped out of mana and you don't have enough mana for Blink, you're having a bad day. Bottle. This just simplifies something people were already doing by dropping the bottle, having your allies pick it up, use it, and come back. Now you can just control click on an ally and there you go. Save some clicks. Diffusal Blade agility bonus went up, which is nice. More reason to build a Diffusal Blade on agility heroes. Drums of Endurance got a buff, although it also costs more by about 75 gold. Worth it overall. Those charges are nice. Nice. Yule Scepter got a buff, so the Cyclone can be procced more often now. Its cooldown's only 23 seconds. Force Staff travel speed reduce. I think this basically just means it takes longer to get to your end location. Right? Tooltip? Yes. So you're going to move the same distance, but it's going to take you 0.1 second longer to get there, which means it might make it a little easier for enemies to catch up to you, and less of an easy kind of I run away button. Ironwood Branch finally got dropped down to 50 gold, which will make it nice. Easier to buy more of them when you have 50 gold or less remaining. 50 gold remaining, I should say. Mask of Madness Lifesteal went up. Might make that more of an attractive item now. Now Mjolnir used to be a cone, and now it's an AoE in the same distance. So this means it might proc more often and kind of burst around you. Necronomicon got nerfed. Thank goodness. I never really participated in the Necro book buying, but I think this might really reduce that a lot because the cooldowns now 15 seconds more. The Necronomicon unit armor is now a flat 4, so they're much easier to destroy, and the bounty went up. So I think it's still a really good item, but I think it might be a little more reasonable. Some basic stuff to Observer Wards. Oh, this is nice. You can target allies. So instead of having to drop it and have them pick it up or something like that, you can just be like, no, I'm going to click on you the same way you do with Tangos. And that might be nice to like you buy like one support buys it, and then each support takes one and takes it to their respective lane to either ward the rune or to ward their jungles, which I think is really awesome because it gives you a little more. It makes it a little easier for both supports in both lane of the lanes, bottom and top lanes, to be kind of doing their job early on without one support having to run like all the way up and down. Like you can kind of split, especially if you're warding like both rune spots, for whatever reason. Just a person on either lane can just do it themselves, and it just saves time. Radiant's attack bonus damage increased. Nice. Refresher Orb reduced, so now it's slightly cheaper to buy a Refresher Orb by 75 gold. Alright. Ring of Aquila got an agility bonus, making Ring of Aquila a more attractive upgrade to the Ring of Basilius. The Rod of Atos got 25 more hit points. I still don't know if that's worth buying. I still don't think it's worth buying. I don't know. I've been trying it a couple times, but it's one of those things where you almost always wish you had something else. It's unfortunate because you think it'd be cool, but like, I don't know. Sanjin Yasha got a buff, more slow and lasts longer. Sentry Wards do the same thing as Observer Wards, which is great, really great, especially if you have two Invis heroes like a Weaver on the off lane and like the Ricky going for safe farm or some nonsense like that, or a Bounty Hunter roaming or something like that. You can kind of drop them in a couple lanes without having to roam all around and lose experience and gold and time. Shadow Amulet's a little better now and can be used on allies. All right, cool. Shiva's Guard got better. Very cool by a decent margin. The Smoke of Deceit is got a little bit of a nerf, which is nice because it means that like you're a little faster, a little quicker on the draw finding your target. You can't just kind of roam around for 40 seconds. It's only a 5-second, but that can make a lot of difference. So we'll see what that does. This is nice. The stacking delay you can really get nailed by that. So having it cap out at 6.5 seconds is pretty cool. It also means now you can target it farther from towers. You can be a little bit farther back from a tower when you TP in. Tranquil Boots. They're trying to buff Tranquil Boots because they're kind of crappy. This buff is nice. It still doesn't get away from the problem that the cooldown when you lose the active ability is super long, and you're almost always going to be losing the active ability because you should almost always be attacking or casting something, unless you're running between lanes. So, I don't know. But it's nice to see. I mean, it'll be nice on my Lion or the occasional time I pick it up on Crystal Maiden if I'm not just going for something else. Just because it's that much more. You're that much faster, and you're that much faster to get back to full health. Finally, the Veil of Discord gets a straight bonus to Strength, Agility, and Damage of 3. So makes that a little bit of a better item overall. Very cool. Last thing to talk about is our last new hero, the Phoenix, who looks totally dope. Comes with some really cool looking skills. Let's see. The Icarus Dive. Swoop forward in a fierce arc, slowing and damaging all enemies. That sounds like a lot of fun. Fire Spirits. You spend health to summon spirits, which can be launched at your foes to burn them over time. Interesting. Spending health as a resource is something I don't think I've seen on a Dota hero yet. At all. And I'm curious to see what that's like in play. Very cool. Very cool. Sunray. Sacrifice vitality again. But wow. Interesting. So again, it's kind of like Abaddon, like you're dealing damage to yourself to do other stuff. Interesting. And then Supernova. Oh, cool. So, interesting. I wonder if that means it's got like a long sort of cast time, and if it manages to go off, yeah, that's pretty cool. That should be fun. I really want to try Phoenix out. It just sounds awesome. You're a Phoenix. That's badass. Replay Takeover. All right, this I'm pretty excited about, actually. I think this could be really fun. God, any replay created after this update, I think that includes pro games, like any game. You and your friends can go to any point in it and like hop right in and take over those heroes and play. I think that could be really cool learning tool, especially with the coaching system, where like you watch part of a game or you set up part of the game, you hop in with a coach, and the coach is like, okay, this is what happened, you've watched the game before or whatever. Now let's see what happens if you do it, same situation, like, go. What would you do differently? What would you do the same? I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Huh. That's a neat idea. I'm kind of excited. I don't know how often I'll do it, but I really like the idea of it. So we shall see. We have some new items in the Dota store. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and just hop right into Dota so that we can take a look at what we've found. So here we go. If we take a look at Dota right now. All right, so New Bloom Festival's arrived. Very cool, blah, blah, blah. Cool new background screen. Here we are, the store. So, yeah, there's new Legion Commander item I was looking at earlier. Very cool, very Chinese themed. The banners are awesome. I don't like the helmet at all. The halberd is sweet, though. Yeah, the helmet is dumb. I like what they were going for, but I just think like it just doesn't work for me. And I wish they might have redone something with her base armor, like the chest plate. Could have looked a little cooler, a little more thematic, but that banner is sweet. Like I might use just the banner and the halberd if I found it, and keep everything else the same. Very cool. What else we have featured? So there were going to be there's a lot of new stuff that's coming into the store with this patch, right? Like Fortune's Favor. So this is all about Jade token drops and stuff. Here we go, New Bloom Festival. So you can earn Flame Salt ingots as you play Dota 2 throughout the New Bloom event. You exchange ingots for weapons to help you fight the Year Beast and earn rewards on how well you did. You can also purchase the Fortune's Favor, which is $1, to earn Jade tokens that can be traded for special New Bloom items. This is a lot like Wraith Knight with the Wraith Knight's Favor, or Wraith King's Favor. Same idea, I think. You can buy battle point boosters. Oh, they have that right there now. Oh, man. Just tempting, tempting, tempting. That one little click. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, these tokens. Okay, so let's see. They're hard by playing regular matches. Purchase equipment when fighting the Year Beast. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder how that's going to work out in play. Like, when you do fight the Year Beast, if that's going to be a special game mode. It looks like it is. It looks like we have 6 days and change to collect a bunch of ingots, and then the Year Beast shows up, and we have to fight it, or there's probably game mode where you can fight the thing. And my guess is all the ingots you've earned through play will, I guess, act as currency, is what it sounds like, to buy items in that game mode. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Let's see. I wonder how that's going to work out. We've got a nice new Ember Spirit set. Might not be new, but it's on sale today. How does that look? Pretty badass. Super bad. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, dude. That is cool. Yeah, that's sweet. Got a little sword, long sword idea. It's pretty sweet, man. I like it. What else do we have? No, there's one set I wanted to show off. So there's a new... I like Lina a lot. And there's a new Lina set that is awesome. They did something similar like this, where they went with sort of a more Eastern Asian style theme, but I thought it looked dreadful. This... looks cool. Love the hair. Love the hair. Love the outfit. The arms. Just the whole thing looks totally badass. I like how the ribbons are curling around her without any support because she's fucking magic. That's dope. Yeah, man. That's a cool looking set. That'd be a nice one to have in the collection. Who else do we got? We've obviously got, there's the 3 Virtues bundles. So if you want to drop $20, you can get a bunch of crap. Like you get a full set for each spirit. Storm Spirit, Ember Spirit, and Earth Spirit. You get, that includes like weapons, items, all kinds of stuff. You also get you get a loading screen and a HUD. You can't, unfortunately, preview those specific things. One of the things that drives me crazy about this particular interface, but that's not, it's $20. It's, whether that's a deal is entirely up to how much you like those heroes, how much you play them, and how much you like new HUDs. But that HUD does look kind of neat. I like the idea of the Chinese dragon. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, guys. So you can check out the store. Everything's live now. The new patch should be live and loaded in. All the new items are available. There's all kinds of exciting stuff. This is a big, cool new event. I'm curious to see what happens with this Year Beast. I'm super pumped. I really can't wait to get back in and play some Dota. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the YouTube comment section, man. I'll get right back to you. Leave a video comment. Like if there's anything about this patch, you're like, oh, this is really awesome, or oh man, I can't believe they nerfed that hero. Like, let's get a discussion going. I'd love to hear from you guys. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Captain Jandor, and follow me on Twitch at Twitch TV/Captain Jandor as well, where I'll be streaming some Dota, hopefully this weekend. There should be a new episode up tomorrow of Learning the Ropes, where I play Ogre Magi. And other than that, I will catch everybody next time.